With his partner, Larry Fessenden, Glenn McQuaid is the co-creator of the extraordinary drama series Tales from Beyond the Pale, featuring voices you'll recognize from artists like Vincent D'Onofrio, Sean Young, and the late great horror legend Angus Scrimm. Tales from Beyond the Pale is something I've been following for a while. As you can tell, everything on this stage for the past couple of days is something that I'm into and I just want to share with you. And Tales is a perfect example of that. It's 3 seasons in now, is that right?
Entering our 4th now.
Entering the 4th. I've got all 3. I've got the t-shirt and I've got Glenn. In addition to writing and directing many episodes of Tales, Glenn is also well known for his feature film work. He was writer-director of the period horror comedy I Sell the Dead, which I saw and enjoyed very much. Thank you for that. Starring Larry Fessenden, Dominic Monaghan, and Ron Perlman. And he has written, directed, and provided visual effects on many other films. This is the video opening to Season 3 of the audio series Tales from Beyond the Pale. Both retro and modern. That's what's so cool about it. Please welcome Glenn McQuaid.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn and his partner Larry Fessenden, who, as I like to say, I've seen him die in every movie and TV show he's ever been in.
I think he's died about 50 times
50
so
times.
far. We actually put a reel together of all his death scenes. It just kept
Did
going.
you really?
About 2 hours long. So.
When I see a movie or a TV show and he's in it with my wife, it's like, okay, start the timer.
He doesn't
here
last
it comes.
long. Yeah.
You come from a filmmaker's perspective, obviously, and which is a visual art, and here we are with audio. What is it? Why audio? What is it about audio that is so powerful to you and so attractive to you?
Yeah, well, actually, even before filmmaking, I actually come from a visual effects background, and prior to that, I was a graphic designer. I studied visual communications in Ireland. So it's been kind of a winding journey to arrive at producing audio content, which we started doing about 5 years ago. And really, the birth of the idea for Tales from Beyond the Pale grew out of somewhat of a frustration as filmmakers, in that it can quite often take you a couple of years to make a movie, and also you can be just spending $1 million plus to get a decent story out there. So originally, I think the lure of working in audio was just to get our intellectual properties out there at a more affordable rate. And I think being able to do that and has been just tremendously liberating as a writer to know, as a matter of fact, I'll sit down tonight and I'll write a new audio play. I know it's going to get produced. I know it's going to get to my listeners or to my audience, whereas that's not often the case in filmmaking. So to actually to go in knowing what you're doing is absolutely going to get out to the world is just, as I say, just really liberating as an artist.
There are a lot of obstacles in filmmaking because it's OPM, other people's money, right?
It's other people's money, and it's so expensive. It's also very time-consuming, and you're just getting a lot of people together to get one project out there, and I love it, and I'm still a filmmaker, and I have projects on the go as well, but there's just something really attractive about knowing your IP is going to get out there. And also, as a writer-director, to have an immediate through line to your actors, to your performance, without all the camera and makeup and costume and stuff is really interesting as well.
What have you noticed about the impact of the audio? I mean, creating for audio when giving birth to the audio has to be different from giving birth to the film, right? What is different about the reception the audio gets from the reception you're accustomed to from film?
Well, the reception that we're accustomed to for film really has been, you'll present your movie at a festival, and you'll get reviewed and so on. And with Tales from Beyond the Pale, it was more of a scrappier start in a way. Like when we first produced season 1 of Tales from Beyond the Pale, we sort of just leaked it out kind of quietly and with the intent that we were building our brand. So I feel like now, 5 years later, there's definitely more of an anticipation about what we're doing in the audio drama world. We'll get reviewed. We'll just get a lot of press without really having to go after it. So I think the divide between the attention that we were getting as filmmakers to what we're getting now as audio artisans is narrowing.
How interested is your team in doing this with you? I mean, you've got writers that work with you, you've got audio production people, and you've got actors. I mean, and some of these actors are clearly people who have other things they can do. All of the artisans are people who have other things they can do. How interested are they in this?
Well, they tell me they're very interested. I think as an actor, it's a great gig because, again, if we're producing a movie, you may need an actor for a month's time. If we're doing a half-hour audio drama, we'll have the actor in and out in a day. I think also a lot of actors who come from a theatrical background really enjoy the aspect of the through line from director to actor. It's definitely much more of a theatrical process. And in its own way, it's a different process to have a performer rely solely on their voice. And when we perform these shows live, we're constantly reminding actors that the Foley artist is their physical performance. We joke that we're going to tie the actors' arms to their legs so they don't try and move, basically, but with the we'll have the Foley artist, we'll have sound effects and sound design, and it's just a giant marriage. So actually, I think everyone really enjoys it. And season 1, we did 10 tales in the studio, and then just to sort of push ourselves a little further with season 2, we did it all live, and that was interesting to get into a scenario where it's a one-take scenario. Everything literally has to go right. It's a wonderful marriage. Now, it's nerve-wracking, but it's a brilliant endeavor.
When you say you did it live, you mean live audience or
live audience?
Live audience.
Yeah, live audience. In fact, for season 2, we did a piece that I wrote called "The Crush" with Sean Young, and we actually had audience participation in that as well. So on the recording, we have the audience screaming towards the end as actual characters in the tale. So it was pretty neat.
What's the difference between writing for audio and writing for film? I mean, how does it affect not just the writing, but the conception of the project?
Well, again, there's a tremendous liberation and a willingness to experiment and explore, and a really new excitement for me as an artist just to delve into projects that I know are going to get out there. And although Tales from Beyond the Pale really started as a necessity for us to get our voice out there, it was a conduit for us to just get content out there, the enthusiasm for it with myself and Larry and pretty much everyone we're working with is just incredible. It's so exciting. I think it's a vital medium for storytellers now. It's like a new horizon, really. I love film. I think film has slowed down a little bit. It's kind of sleeping a little bit. There's so many remakes. There's so many reboots. We've seen it all before. I'm so sick of...
A lot of comic book movies.
A lot of comic book movies. I'm over them. I was over them 10 years ago. And the truth is, it's just really hard to get to experiment and push new ideas in film. It's just too expensive, So with audio, I just feel like we're in the golden age where for artists, I'm coming at this from the creative point of view, for just getting new work out there, and people seem to be really responding to our work and some of our experimentations. The further we go with the project, I think the more we're exploring new ideas and exploring the idea of just really taking the listener on a journey without the image, so they have to use their own imaginations, which is by and large way better than any CGI creature or horror show that you're going to see. So it's been a great journey.
How have you gauged the success of what you've done? I mean, not as an artist, but kind of in terms of commerce or in terms of at least consumption.
Yeah.
How do you gauge, how do you assess that?
Well, when we started, we knew it was going to be sort of a slow burn to get our brand out there, and over the 5 years, we've built on it. It's definitely getting out there. We sell the stuff right now through Audible and through our own websites, and we have physical. We put our stuff out on vinyl, and actually there's some CDs.
Vinyl?
We did vinyl, yeah. Vinyl is so big at the moment, it's crazy. We've got CDs in the room, and we're also getting into just putting stuff out on USB. So we see the sales.
No laser disc, right?
Oh, that's amazing. Maybe
I just want to make sure it's not on laser disc, because we know now that is bad.
VHS. It's just been a process of us building the brand, and we've gradually seen a rise. I really feel like we're just sort of getting through at phase one of Tales from Beyond the Pale, of setting ourselves up. I think we're entering a time now where we're really ready to expand, find partners, and just really get our work out there in many of the ways that people have been talking about here this week.
How do you see it going forward? I mean, where do you see Tales going? Where do you see it playing? Who do you envision these partners? What are the perfect partners for you?
Well, it's been interesting. Right now, it's, as I say, we're really, people have to sort of really just pay for it on Amazon and iTunes. I love the idea. I mean, we're making radio plays, but I call them audio dramas because they're not on the radio. So to get them onto something like NPR would be fabulous. I also love the idea that, we had someone here from Pandora talking yesterday. I think there's a huge market for people who are interested in not just music, but and not just documentary podcasts, but actually just content. The market is wide open for it. I think it's the next big thing. I really do. I think people who love cinema, I think there's a huge market there for those people who now who are listening to podcasts and music, for them to actually just enjoy audio drama.
Sound design is obviously a major emphasis in Tales, right? Your partner Larry was recently quoted as saying, quote, "I often fantasize about stripping away more and more of the dialogue and leaving the audience to navigate through pure sound." Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, on one of the live shows, actually, a piece called Caper, which is about a couple of criminals breaking into a house, and the house is shifting and morphing. So it's a strange piece anyway, but Larry kind of set himself out with the goal of spending a good chunk of that audio drama without any dialogue, and to see how far we could keep the listener along with on the journey of his protagonists. And I think it worked out really well. I think also, coming from a filmmaking background, and the fact that we've let go of the visual, and now we're just concentrating on the audio, it's fun to even go further and also let go of the dialogue and to see how far we can push it with sound design and music and so on. So, we're definitely at the stage where we're very happy and eager to try out new things and to experiment, and by and large, those experiments are going over really well.
In a sense, you're actually better positioned to do that than most, because coming from the cinematic perspective, you understand kind of uniquely what the role of the ambient noise is, what the sound design, how important sound design is to the success of a movie.
What Larry likes to say is, with a movie, you've got one image, but often you have hundreds and hundreds of layers of sound. And with the work of Larry's company, Glass Eye Pix, there's always been a huge, huge influence of audio. So there's a lot of slow burn movies out there that really rely on just sound design, not just for tone, but for storytelling as well.
Audio stories, as you say, are less expensive to produce than video stories, but it's also potentially more difficult to get people to pay attention to them, right? A movie flies into a theater, it at least gets attention on that weekend. An audio show, maybe not. I mean, how do you generate attention for this?
I think times are changing, I think with podcasts and the earbud generation, people are flocking to it. I really feel like the time is now for for people to sort of see this format for as a vital way of getting stories out there. My experience has been, people now, 5 years into this project, are as eager for a new season of Tales from Beyond the Pale as they are for a film that we'll be producing. There's a tremendous amount of excitement and galvanization from the artists that this is all happening. I think it's a really important time.
So, again, one of the questions I've been liking to ask the past couple of days, fast forward a year, 2 years, where would you like to see Tales from Beyond the Pale?
Everywhere. Yeah, I'd like to see it. I'd love to see it on a streaming service. I would love to see streaming services out there providing audio drama content. We're a genre audio drama. We do like thriller, horror, science fiction pieces. I love the idea that we would get them onto, again, streaming. I think that's really is the way forward. And also radio. It was really exciting to listen to Anya from NPR yesterday. Getting our content on there out to people that need to tune in at a certain time. I think that's important. Mm-hmm. People need to, mark it down and watch it, as well as having it on their mobile devices.
Somebody said to me yesterday that the keyword for or earlier today, the keyword for the conference seems to be content. Everybody's talking about content. The one thing I would say is, in order to focus on content, you need content makers, and content makers are, for the most part, artists like this man. So thank you very much for doing Tales from Beyond the Pale, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Glenn McQuaid.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, Mark.